And now joining me on the podcast is Barbara Merwin, president of Travel Insured International. Welcome to the show, Barbara. Tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Eric. I'm the president of Travel Insured International now for just about 20 months. And previous to that, I've been in the insurance and financial services industry for about 30 years, have fulfilled a number of roles in those industries, and including international presence and international oversight around the globe. I've been super excited to be heading up Travel Insured, and the fact that we're celebrating 30 years is very exciting to look at where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed in this next chapter and next era of travel insurance.
Excellent. Yeah, very excited to have you on and talking about travel insurance. A lot has happened over the last 5-10 years here, specifically, post-pandemic here. So we're dive right in. How did that really change things in the shape of in the state of travel insurance here following the pandemic and returning to a booming travel industry now? What would you say is the current state of the travel insurance sector?
During the pandemic, it really raised a key awareness of the need for travel insurance, and not just for general travel, et cetera. There were good reasons why people needed travel insurance. The COVID related testing that was required, the COVID concerns, and how things were changing and evolving day to day around the world, depending upon destinations, et cetera. So while there was a tremendous elevated awareness of the need for travel insurance that time, it aided our travel advisors and our partners in being able to offer travel insurance and consumers understanding what the need was for that. I would say that post-pandemic, the need has continued, but the pressing nature of it, if you will, has begun to subside a little bit. And now in the post-pandemic era, we continue to have to educate our consumers, our partners, our travel advisors as to the benefits and the needs and the importance of having travel insurance for your trips.
So what would you say is that travelers need to know about travel insurance today? Any common misconceptions out there about travel insurance you want to dispel for anyone listening out there?
Absolutely. I mean, I think I can run down like a whole list of myths and misconceptions. I think, one of the top reasons is many people believe that when traveling, their current primary medical insurance will cover them if they become ill or if they have an accident arise on vacation. And while you're traveling domestically within the United States, that may be the case, depending upon your medical insurance. If you're traveling international, most likely your medical insurance will not cover such events. So that's very important to know when you factor in that you are potentially in a foreign country, you may need extended, hospitalization or potentially even evacuation, medical airlift coming out of a country. Those costs can really add up. We've seen claims in excess of $150,000, $200,000. So it's a pretty significant expense that you may not be covered for. So we really do urge people to think about their medical insurance and understanding what it does and does not cover, and then protecting themselves in the event that they're traveling outside of the country that they reside in. Another key myth is, I've got coverage on my credit card. I think that that's a huge misconception. People really need to get under the hood of their credit card coverages and understand what's being provided. Is it just a travel accidental death coverage, or is there broader coverage? And there are some credit cards that do have much more extensive coverage, including more medical. It may include even baggage related benefits, but really understanding what is provided and what the gaps are and where travel insurance can close those gaps is important. I think also something that's very important is most travel insurance is going to have a assistance services attached to it. And the assistance services go beyond just, oh, I've had an accident while I'm traveling and I need help, or I've missed a connection, I need to rebook my flight. But our assistance services, for example, are there to help with concierge needs as well. If you're looking for a golf course to play or looking for a restaurant to attend, often assistance services have a pretty robust level of services that customers can take advantage of. I think it's also important that when you buy a travel insurance plan, have that assistance services number ready at your fingertips should you need anything, because often in a plan document in the terms of the insurance, you need to make a phone call to assistance services before you take action on your own. For example, rebooking a flight or booking a hotel in the event that something happens. Because if you don't contact the assistance services or our company, there's a chance that the cost might not be covered. So that can be a very valuable service on so many fronts to take advantage of when you're looking to do things, but also if you have an emergency or something that arises where you need assistance. I really think that because of these misconceptions, we have a continued importance of educating the general public about what travel insurance is and why it's important and what's the right level of different coverages based on your needs. But also educating travel advisors, because there is a great value to travel advisors in offering this service to their customers, and them having a very good understanding of the ins and outs, the benefits, and then how they can meet their customer needs. That's extremely important.
Definitely so. Yes. And, travel insurance so key, all about having the customers back there, sometimes literally, when anything goes wrong. I am curious. You mentioned advisors, and I got a couple questions from advisors leading up to this, and a couple
Okay.
brought up stuff about current events and like when something goes awry, like maybe the war zone, like Middle East stuff happening right now, or pulling people out if they were in Ukraine when things like when that sort of stuff happened. So now that we know what's going on in the Middle East, what would you say about travel to the Middle East right now with everything going on in Israel? What if someone was saying, hey, I want to go to Jordan, I've always wanted to see Petra. Maybe they found a good deal right now. What would you recommend to them or to the advisor, selling that area to their clients about who are thinking about travel to the Middle East right now, or in times of situations that are going on?
Right. Well, the Middle East is definitely a situation right now where it's evolving, it's fluid, it's unknown. Coming out of the October 7th events, carriers were taking different stance. We had a stance that this was a terrorist event. The situation evolved, and the situation did ultimately, over a period of time, become war, which a lot of other carriers are also taking that stance of. And war is not a covered peril under pretty much all travel insurance policies. To that extent, then knowing that, again, making sure you're clear on what is and isn't covered, and travel advisors should be very aware of the products that they offer and what are the carrier stances relative to the coverages for traveling to those destinations. So when it's a known event like that and it's war, then it's really something the customer has to determine. What are the risks I'm willing to take advantage of? People might be booking travel out 12 months, even sometimes we're seeing 24-month booking right now, and a lot can change over that time, right? So it's knowing exactly what's covered and what's not covered, and what are their alternatives in terms of purchasing coverage at that time. I think if somebody does opt to travel there, travel advisors really educating consumers on the ins and outs of travel alerts that may be out from the US or from other countries, and knowing what to do in the event that something happens, who they can contact, both from the travel advisor perspective, travel insurance, or also just within the state, is there an embassy, etc. And, of utmost, I think that regardless of events going on in the world, when you're traveling internationally, being vigilant the most important thing, right? And being smart about where you're going, what you're doing, and constantly being aware of the situations that are around you.
Absolutely so. Yes. And you mentioned, education and how key that is. So, to our advisors listening right now, can you educate them what separates travel insured from others in the insurance space?
Yeah, so travel insurance, Travel Insured International has been around now for 30 years. And in that 30 years, we've been working with travel agencies and travel advisors in an ongoing basis. And it is one of our core distribution mechanisms. Um, some of the key things that we provide to travel advisors, dedicated account management team, advisor support team. We have an advisor dashboard that we're continually working to improve and create ease of use, if you will, for our travel advisors. We also believe that partnerships are two-way. Communication is important and transparency is important. So we want to share data and information with our advisors and with our partners about their customers, the trips that are being booked, the performance of their programs with us. In addition to that, we are in the midst of launching a new educational portal available through North Star Media Group, and will be available to all our advisors. So there we seek to continue to provide the resources to advisors that they need in order to understand the benefits of travel insured, the ins and outs of the different coverages, etc. And then also we are available to provide marketing resources and marketing support for our agency partners and our advisors. So if they're looking to enhance their social media presence or boost their email campaigns, we do have toolkits and templates that our partners can leverage to aid in increasing and driving their business, and in particular, their travel insurance sales.
Excellent. Oh, go ahead, continue.
I was just gonna say, one more thing about Travel Insured. It started out as a family-owned business, and we've really tried to maintain that family feel, if you will. The company was built upon relationships, and we continue to strive to build and maintain solid relationships. I've talked in the past about this concept of big pond, little pond. And sometimes you can go and work with a very, very large company. And if you're a small agency, fewer number of advisors, etc., you may find if you're a little fish in that big pond, getting support, getting resolution can be a challenge. And we want to ensure that regardless of our size of pond and how that may be growing and changing, and regardless of the size of our partner's size of pond, all fish are created equal, if you will, and we ensure the same level of service for everybody.
Excellent. Yes, service is key. Relationships are so important with everything. So that's great. You're there for your suppliers and your advisors out there. As we wrap up here on the podcast, though, I got to ask closing advice to travel advisors specifically out there listening. What sort of wisdom would you want to pass on? Anything in addition that we just from what we discussed?
I think that it's interesting times, right? Interesting times in terms of what is the new normal for travel, the education, the awareness of how travel insurance fits into that and the evolution of that, the evolution of technology. We are constantly looking at our technology now, and we're looking at it from an outside in perspective. And I think that outside in approach is something that travel advisors and travel agencies in general can also think about. What can I learn about what's happening outside of my business, outside of my organization, whether that be travel trends, travel industry in general, whether that be travel insurance, whether that be technology. What do customers want? What do my partners want? Do they want greater ease of technology? Do they want more touch and more engagement from the organizations that they're working with? What do the end travelers want when they are traveling and they have something happen? We're striving to build, I'll call it a low touch, no touch environment where we want to create greater ease of use for all of our key stakeholders, both our agencies and advisors and partners, the travelers themselves, and then also our employees. And that's sort of what we're focusing on. And I think that's also great advice for advisors and agencies too, is to think about what's happening outside of them. How can they bring that in and create greater ease of use and value for their customers and their partners?
Excellent advice. Thank you so much, Barbara. We appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to talk all things travel insurance here and educate us on the podcast. Be sure to head over to travelinsured.com.